Welcome to Wallace Anwar. Today, we're talking about Anwar's take on the recent Saba state election outcome. That recent state election was, well, it was a massive political earthquake, a serious wake-up call for the entire federal government structure.
It really was.
The Hope Pact suffered a major, undeniable setback. And we really need to understand the reasoning from the Prime Minister himself, Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim.
Right, and he gave his assessment right after that high-level meeting with Singapore's Prime Minister Lawrence Wong.
Exactly.
And what's so central here, I think, is that he didn't try to sugarcoat it. He didn't blame, external factors.
No, he was very direct.
Very. He pointed straight to two core fundamental failings: chronic development issues and this intense rising tide of local sentiment.
So this wasn't just about a bad campaign.
Not at all. This signals a perceived failure to deliver on the most basic promises in a region that's, well, vital to the whole country.
Okay, let's unpack those results first, because the numbers themselves are just astonishing. They really tell a story of voter frustration.
They absolutely do.
Out of the 73 state seats that were contested, the performance of the federal ruling coalition was abysmal.
It was a clear rejection. The dominant winners were parties that focused almost entirely on state identity and regional autonomy.
You saw the Sabah People's Alliance just dominate, right? They secured 29 seats.
A huge mandate, a very strong message for state-based leadership.
And then right on their heels, capitalizing on that same local feeling, was the Heritage Party.
Yep, they swept up 25 seats.
So it became this clear two-way fight between local powerhouses.
Meanwhile, the National Front, which used to be the dominant force,
Was reduced to just 6 seats. 6. That has to be a historic low for them in East Malaysia.
But here's the real, the strategic knockout punch for the federal coalition.
Go on.
The Hope Pact. Collectively, across the entire state, they managed to secure one single seat.
Just one.
Just one. It shows a complete breakdown in trust with the federal government.
And for anyone who follows Malaysian politics, this next stat is the most shocking. The Democratic Action Party.
Right. The strongest component of the Hope Pact, historically so competitive in urban areas.
They were completely wiped out. 0 seats for them.
0. That kind of result suggests a frustration that goes way beyond typical political divides. It gets into, core infrastructure, daily life.
It raises a really critical question then. When a ruling coalition performs this poorly, especially in places they put resources into.
The reasons have to be structural. They can't be superficial. And Anwar's diagnosis, well, it confirms that. It centers on what voters are seeing, or rather what they are not seeing, on the ground every single day.
Okay, so let's get into that. The first major diagnosis he gave, these development legacy issues.
Yes. And he was clear that the problem isn't necessarily a lack of federal money. I mean, billions of ringgit have been channeled over there.
So it's not the funding.
It's the execution, the consistent systemic lack of execution that leaves these vital projects just perpetually unfinished.
And he pointed to really specific examples, didn't he? We're talking about the most essential services.
The absolute basics. Roads that are still broken or just incomplete. An unreliable clean water supply. Inconsistent electricity.
These aren't minor inconveniences for people in Sabah.
No, they're foundational to your quality of life. It's a daily crisis.
And we know the federal government has repeatedly injected huge funds to tackle these exact problems.
They have. But year after year, parts of these projects stay incomplete. Or worse, you see them half-finished and just abandoned.
That cycle has to create so much frustration. And the blame, well, it lands squarely on the federal government for not making sure it gets done.
He was very specific about it. He observed that these basic problems still plague rural, remote, and critically even urban dwellers.
So it's not just a rural issue.
Not at all. When a water treatment plant project is stalled for 3 years, or a key road is still a dirt track despite the budget being approved, it fuels this perception that the federal government is either incompetent or just doesn't care.
That feeling of being left behind.
That's it, exactly. It translates directly into votes. It's the difference between announcing you've written a check and actually being able to cash it.
And by calling them legacy issues,
Yeah.
he's acknowledging they've been failing across multiple governments.
But his administration owns the failure now, until it's fixed. That acknowledgement is a big deal, but it demands an immediate solution.
So what is the immediate plan? He stressed strengthening communication and cooperation with the Sabah state government.
It sounds like an admission that the top-down federal approach has failed.
It does. The intention is to resolve these issues, but he was realistic. He said, It has to be done in phases.
Which implies a new era of genuine partnership. It's a shift from just blame to actual strategy. If federal agencies couldn't execute, then you have to empower the local government to do it themselves.
And that leads perfectly into the second diagnosis he gave, which is just as critical.
The local sentiment.
Exactly. The native issues affecting voters' choices. It's beyond the potholes and the power cuts. Voters are clearly prioritizing state identity, more state-level control.
And what's so fascinating here politically is how the government is trying to address this through the Malaysia Agreement 1963, MA 63.
The foundation of the federation itself.
Right. And failures to fulfill its promises have created this deep resentment over federal control. Anwar confirmed they're negotiating this at multiple levels. He even mentioned consulting with the Malay rulers.
Which really elevates the discussion. It's not just political bargaining at that point.
It shows you the scale of the problem. They have to balance this urgent need for development with these very strong, very emotional concerns about autonomy and sovereignty.
And we're already seeing some tangible results from those negotiations, aren't we?
We are. The devolution of power is probably the biggest item. Specifically, the regulation of electricity has already been handed over to the Sabah state government.
That is a massive deal, both symbolically and practically.
Huge. It's not just about keeping the lights on. It means Sabah now controls utility tariffs, power generation contracts, the whole supply chain.
It addresses that historical grievance that Kuala Lumpur was dictating everything without local input.
Exactly. It's a direct response to the complaint of federal overreach. And to back it up, to show this is real,
The money.
the federal government is providing an additional 1.2 billion ringgit right now.
And this isn't just routine budget money.
No, it's a targeted, substantial injection. It's to ensure that those crucial projects, the same legacy issues we just talked about, can finally move forward.
So the hope is, once people see tangible results, public support might shift back.
That's the strategy. Address the emotional demand for autonomy with devolution, and address the practical demand for services with this targeted funding. It's a powerful 1-2 punch. They're basically saying, we're handing over control and providing the extra funds to fix what our old system broke.
It's a compelling narrative. But it all hinges on execution, doesn't it? We actually want to hear from you. Do you think tackling basic infrastructure combined with these high-profile acts of devolution is enough to overcome these deeply rooted local sentiments in states like Sabah? So to just summarize the Prime Minister's analysis, first, a stark acknowledgement of these massive, unfinished development projects.
And second, the absolute necessity of addressing that deep-seated native sentiment using the MA 63 framework.
And those two takeaways are being backed by real policy shifts.
The devolution of electricity regulation and that huge 1.2 billion ringgit boost for execution. The federal strategy is now provide the money, provide the power, and demand results.
A final thought for you to consider then. This entire new strategy relies almost completely on project delivery. The analysis is done, the funds are there, the rhetoric is set.
The only question now is whether the government machinery, federal and state working together, can actually deliver on these promises before the next election.
Because if they fail to deliver this time,
that local sentiment will only get stronger. The stakes couldn't be higher.
remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.